Now, I never grew up into a religious household. My family, if you had to say they were a religion, I would probably say Buddhist. We went to the Buddhist temple every now and then, but it wasn't anything serious. So I never had any real influences to believe in religion. So growing up, I would mainly call myself agnostic. I knew and I felt like there was probably a higher power, but I didn't really look into any of that whatsoever. But it all really started when I started to take religion seriously and go into it, was probably around April 2024. Now at this time, there were three main focuses in my life. First of all, content, what I'm doing out right now. Second of all, the gym. I just wanted to get bigger, grow stronger, and get better. And third was schoolwork. But I really fixated on these things too much, to the point that it became a detriment and it harmed me. My expectations, especially for the gym and content creation, were far too high considering the amount of work I was putting in and the amount of time I gave myself. At this time, I lifted for about 2 years and I was doing content creation for only 1 year. And yet I expected myself to see success that you see on social media, where people make millions off their channel or build it into millions. And I expected myself to start benching 405 out of nowhere. And I constantly question myself, why can't I do this? Why don't I achieve these sort of things? And it led into a lot of self-loathing. I hated myself for not being able to accomplish these things, and it was really depreciating of my own self-worth. And I was really doubting my own self-worth. I felt worthless in a large majority of life and the things I could do. My self-esteem was quite low at that time. And during the same period, my relationship with my mom wasn't exactly the greatest. I found video games as a way to kind of escape my constant self-loathing and some of the thoughts I had at the time. And my mom would go on to see this at the end of the day, and she would kind of tell me, probably for my own benefit, to stop playing so much because it's really a waste of time at the end of the day. But at that time, I didn't want to listen to any of that. I was very self-righteous, and yet I still despised myself very, very greatly. And I think some of that hate kind of transferred off onto her. And this progressed for about 2 to 3 months, where I constantly grew in self-hatred, grew in worthlessness, and my self-esteem just went down and down and down and down. And it was on one particular night, it was mid-August, I found myself just crying. I don't exactly remember the reason why, but I was just crying. And up to this point, I started to also have some thoughts of taking my own life. Now, I never followed through with it. I'm very glad that I didn't, because I knew during that time, I at least had to live for my family. I had family to live for. My mom, my sister, my dad, my grandparents. They would all be relatively sad to see me go. And that was the only thing that really kept me going. But I realized, and now while I'm speaking here, I think I know why I was crying there. I realized how sad of an existence I was really living. That my life wasn't even worth living to myself. It was only just for people that I cared about. And my mom saw me crying. Of course, she's my mom. She wants to talk to me a little bit and see what's going on, right? But I just didn't want to talk. And my mom has the tendency to be a little pushy at times. And I'm not gonna blame her, right? She just wanted to figure out what's going on with her son, which I know she very much loves me. I didn't want to speak to her whatsoever, and she just kind of got frustrated, understandably so. And that night was the night where I decided that maybe I should follow through with this. Because what I felt in that moment was that my mom, my family, didn't care for me anymore. And the reason that I had that kept me going, that kept me alive, wasn't worth living for anymore. So I just felt so low. I didn't even deserve to sleep on a bed that night. I just slept on the ground, on a yoga mat, in the living room. And I sat there pondering to myself about the things, what I would do if I would record a video, if I were to leave a note, or if I would record one last video to this channel. But at that exact same time, on that exact same night, was when God stepped in. That was when God intervened and saw how really broken I was. And he healed me from that moment. And you know what he did? He sent me a little notification on the Bible app, which was what I was reading at the time. Because I forgot to also mention this. Back in April 2024, I started to get into religion a little bit. I found some videos about Christianity, and that was when I started to read the Bible on my own, just little by little, learn a little bit about the religion. And it was 12:01 a.m. and I saw the notification, and I just figured, why not? It won't hurt. And I don't really remember the specific verse that I read in that moment, but I knew, regardless of what verse it was, that God saw me for who I am and what I truly was worth. And he saved me in that moment and pulled me out of the darkness and said, no, this man deserves to live. This man is my child, my son. And this is why I've given my life to Jesus. This is why I want to upload videos like this to show what the love of the Lord can do to a person. A year ago, I wanted to off myself, and now I'm living probably the best life I possibly could. My relationship with my mom has repaired a lot. I'm living a very, very dedicated life where I'm more focused on the things that I was dedicated to before, and I'm making more progress than I ever did before. And so I'm very, very glad that I decided to do all of this for God first and foremost. That I didn't stay selfish and say, it's all about me. But when you give it all up to God, everything just works out. So I hope that this might have helped some of you who are Christian, or for any of you who aren't, to maybe consider it a little bit, to maybe reflect on yourself, your own beliefs, and where you stand in faith. Whether you might need to get a little closer with God, or might need to do a little bit more research about religion. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me. I hope you found that my testimony was at the very least a convincing testimony, or something that was powerful to listen to. But yeah, I'm gonna get out of this really depressing tone and just switch into my outro. So I hope you found this video to be helpful at the very least. And I really do pray for any of you out there that might be struggling with the same things that I did, to give it to God, to find God in that moment. Because there's one quote that I love to say to myself. When you're losing, God comes to find you. But when you're winning, you should come to find God. God, regardless of where you are in life, how low you are, will come to find you at one point. He will try and find you, and he will talk to you. But it's all up to you whether you want to listen to him or not. Because his voice is often very, very quiet in the midst of a bunch of noise in day-to-day life. But I beg that you just listen, hear, and give a little bit of time to that tiny voice in your head. Because 9 times out of 10, that's God, and he's trying to speak to you. But that's pretty much it for me. So just stay consistent, stay disciplined, and keep on building that relationship with God, all right? And just give me a kiss. Mwah.